Now I move to exports as the fourth engine. We will set up an export promotion mission with sectoral and ministerial targets driven jointly by the Ministries of Commerce, MSME, and Finance. It will facilitate easy access to export credit, cross-border factoring support, support to MSMEs to tackle non-tariff measures in overseas markets.
A digital public infrastructure, Bharat Trade Net, for international trade will be set up as a unified platform for trade documentation and financing solutions. This will complement the Unified Logistics Interface platform. The BTN will be aligned with international practices. Support will be provided to develop domestic manufacturing capacities for our economy's integration with global supply chains. Sectors will be identified based on objective criteria. Facilitation groups with participation of senior officers and industry representatives will be formed for select products and supply chains. Through this, there are huge opportunities related to Industry 4.0, which needs high skills and talent. Our youth have both. Our government will support the domestic electronic equipment industry to leverage this opportunity for the benefit of our youth. A national framework will be formulated as guidance to states for promoting global capability centers in emerging Tier 2 cities. This will suggest measures for enhancing availability of talent and infrastructure, building bylaw reforms, and mechanisms for collaboration with industry. Our government will facilitate upgradation of infrastructure and warehousing for air cargo, including high-value perishable horticultural produce. Cargo screening and customs protocol will be streamlined and made user-friendly. Reforms as the fuel. Over the past 10 years, our government has implemented several reforms for convenience of taxpayers, such as faceless assessment, 2, taxpayer charter, 3, faster returns, 4, almost 99% returns being on self-assessment, and 5, Vivad Se Vishwas scheme. Continuing these efforts, I reaffirm the commitment of the Tax Department to trust first, scrutinize later. I also propose to introduce the new income tax bill next week. I will detail the indirect tax reforms and changes in direct taxes in Part B. Financial sector reforms. The FDI limit for the insurance sector will be raised from 74 to 100%. This enhanced limit will be available for those companies which invest the entire premium in India. The current guardrails and conditionalities associated with foreign investment will be reviewed and simplified. The services of India Post-Payment Bank will be deepened and expanded in rural areas. NABFID will set up a partial credit enhancement facility for corporate bonds for infrastructure. Public sector banks will develop Grameen Credit Score framework to serve the credit needs of SHG members and people in rural areas. A forum for regulatory coordination and development of pension products will be set up. To implement the earlier announcement on simplifying the KYC processes, the revamped Central KYC Registry will be rolled out in 2025. We will also implement a streamlined system for periodic updating. Requirements and procedures for speedy approval of company mergers
will be rationalized. The scope for fast-track mergers will also be widened and the process made simpler. As proposed in the interim budget, we signed bilateral investment treaties with 2 countries in 2024 to encourage sustained foreign investment, and in the spirit of First Develop India, the current model BIT will be revamped and made more investor-friendly. In the last 10 years, in several aspects, including financial and non-financial, our government has demonstrated a steadfast commitment to ease of doing business. We are determined to ensure that our regulations must keep up with technological innovations and global policy developments. A light-touch regulatory framework based on principles and trust will unleash productivity and employment. Through this framework, we will update regulations that were made under old laws. To develop this modern, flexible, people-friendly, and trust-based regulatory framework appropriate for the 21st century, I propose 4 specific measures. A high-level committee for regulatory reforms will be set up for a review of all non-financial sector regulations, certifications, licenses, and permissions. The committee will be expected to make recommendations within a year. The objective is to strengthen trust-based economic governance and take transformational measures to enhance ease of doing business, especially in matters of inspection and compliances. States will be encouraged to join in this endeavor. An investment friendliness index of states will be launched in 2025 to further the spirit of competitive, cooperative federalism. Under the Financial Stability and Development Council, a mechanism will be set up to evaluate impact of the current financial regulations and subsidiary instructions. It will also formulate a framework to enhance their responsiveness and development of the financial sector. In the Jan Vishwas Act 2023, more than 180 legal provisions were decriminalized. Our government will now bring up the Jan Vishwas Bill 2.0 to decriminalize more than 100 provisions in various laws. I now move to fiscal policy. In the July budget, I had committed to staying the course for fiscal consolidation. Our endeavor will be to keep the fiscal deficit each year such that central government debt remains on a declining path as a percentage of the GDP. The roadmap for the next 6 years has been detailed in the FRBM statement. Revised estimates for 2024-25. The revised estimate of the total receipts other than borrowings The revised estimate of the fiscal deficit is 4.8% of the GDP. Budget estimates for 25-26. Coming to 25-26, the total receipts other than borrowings and total expenditure are estimated at 34.96 lakh crore rupees and 50.65 lakh crore rupees respectively. The net tax receipts are estimated at 28.37 lakh crore rupees. The fiscal deficit is estimated to be 4.4% of GDP. To finance the fiscal deficit, the net market borrowings from dated securities are estimated at 11.54 lakh crore. The balance financing is expected to come from small savings and other sources. The gross market borrowings are estimated at 14.82 lakh crore rupees. I will now move to Part B. Indirect taxes. My proposals relating to customs aim to rationalize tariff structure and address duty inversion. These will also support domestic manufacturing and value addition, promote exports, facilitate trade, and provide relief to common people. Rationalization of customs tariff structure for industrial goods. As a part of comprehensive review of customs rate structure announced in July 2024 budget, I propose to 1. Remove 7 tariff rates. This is over and above the 7 tariff rates removed in 23-24 budget. After this, there will be only 8 remaining tariff rates, including 0 rate. 2. Apply appropriate cess to broadly maintain effective duty incidence, except on a few items where such incidence will reduce marginally. 3. Levy not more than 1 cess or surcharge. Therefore, I propose to exempt social welfare surcharge on 82 tariff lines that are subject to a cess. I shall now take up sector-specific proposals. To provide relief to patients, particularly those suffering from cancer, rare diseases, and other severe chronic diseases, I propose to add 36 life-saving drugs and medicines to the list of medicines fully exempted from basic custom duty. I also propose to add 6 life-saving medicines to the list attracting concessional custom duty of 5%. Full exemption and concessional duty will also respectively apply on the bulk drugs for manufacture of the above. Specified drugs and medicines under patient assistance programs run by the pharmaceutical companies are fully exempt from BCD, provided the medicines are supplied free of cost to the patients. I propose to add 37 more medicines along with 13 new patient assistance programs. Support to domestic manufacturing and value addition. Critical minerals. In the July 2024 budget, I had fully exempted BCD on 25 critical minerals that are not domestically available. I had also reduced BCD of 2 other such minerals to provide a major fillip to their processing, especially by MSMEs. Now, I propose to fully exempt cobalt powder and waste, the scrap of lithium-ion battery, lead, zinc, and 12 more critical minerals. This will help secure their availability for manufacturing in India and promote more jobs for our youth. To promote domestic production of technical textile products such as agro-textiles, medical textiles, and geotextiles at competitive prices, I propose to add 2 more types of shuttle-less looms to the list of fully exempted textile machinery. I also propose to revise the BCD rate on knitted fabrics covered by 9 tariff lines from 10 or 20 to 20% or 115 rupees per kg, whichever is higher. Electronic goods. In line with our Make in India policy and to rectify inverted duty structure, I propose to increase the BCD on interactive flat panel display from 10% to 20% and reduce the BCD to 5% and other components. In 23-24 budget, for the manufacture of open cells of LCD, LED TVs, I had reduced the BCD on parts of open cells from 5% to 2.5%. To further boost the manufacture of such open cells, the BCD on these parts will now stand exempted. Lithium-ion battery. To the list of exempted capital goods, I propose to add 35 additional capital goods for EV battery manufacturing and 28 additional capital goods for mobile phone battery manufacturing. This will boost domestic manufacture of lithium-ion batteries, both for mobile phones and for electric vehicles. Shipping sector. Considering that shipbuilding has a long gestation period, I propose to continue the exemption of BCD on raw materials, components, consumables, or parts for the manufacture of ships for another 10 years. I also propose the same dispensation for shipbreaking to make it more competitive. Telecommunication. To prevent classification disputes, I propose to reduce the BCD from 20% to 10% on carrier-grade Ethernet switches to make it at par with non-carrier-grade Ethernet switches. Export promotion. To facilitate exports of handicrafts, I propose to extend the time period for export from 6 months to 1 year, further extendable by another 3 months if required. I also propose to add 9 items to the list of duty-free inputs. Leather sector. I propose to fully exempt BCD on wet blue leather to facilitate imports for domestic value addition and employment. I also propose to exempt crust leather from 20% export duty to facilitate exports by small tanners. Marine products. To enhance India's competitiveness in the global seafood market, I propose to reduce BCD from 30% to 5% on frozen fish paste, surimi, for manufacture and export of its analog products. I also propose to reduce BCD from 15% to 5% on fish hydrolysates for manufacture of fish and shrimp feed. In July 2024 budget, to promote development of domestic MROs for aircraft and ships, I had extended the time limit for export of foreign origin goods that were imported for repairs from 6 months to 1 year and further extendable by 1 year. I now propose to extend the same dispensation for railway goods. Time limit for provisional assessment. Presently, the Customs Act 1962 does not provide any time limit to finalize provisional assessments, leading to uncertainty and cost to trade. As a measure of promoting ease of doing business, I propose to fix a time limit of 2 years, extendable by a year, for finalizing the provisional assessment. I propose to introduce a new provision that will enable importers or exporters, after clearance of goods, to voluntarily declare material facts and pay duty with interest but without penalty. This will incentivize voluntary compliance. However, this will not apply in cases where department has already initiated audit or investigation proceedings. For industry to better plan their imports, I propose to extend the time limit for the end use of imported inputs in the relevant rules from 6 months to 1 year. This will provide operational flexibility in view of cost and uncertainty of supply. Further, such importers will now have to file only quarterly statements instead of a monthly statement. I now come to my direct tax proposals. In Part A, I have briefly underlined taxation reforms as one of key reforms to realize our vision of Vikasit Bharat. In respect of criminal law, our government had earlier ushered in Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, replacing Bharatiya Danda Sanhita. I am happy to inform this august House and the country that for new income tax bill will carry forward the same spirit of Nyaya in its drafting as well. The new bill will be clear and direct in text, with close to half of the present law in terms of both chapters and words. It will be simple to understand for taxpayers and tax administrators, leading to tax certainty and reduced litigation. Reforms, however, are not a destination. They are means to achieve good governance for our people and economy. Providing good governance primarily involves being responsive. The Tirukural captures this in verse 542, which reads, Vanoki varum ulagallam, mannavan kol noki varum kudi. Meaning, just as the living beings live expecting rains, citizens live expecting good governance. Our government is committed to keeping an ear to the ground and a finger on the pulse and responding while balancing our national building efforts. The following measures will detail just how our government will, under the guidance of PM Modi, has taken steps to understand and address. I repeat that sentence, sir. The following measures will detail just how our government, under the guidance of PM Modi, has taken steps to understand and address the needs voiced by our citizens. My tax proposals are guided by this spirit. The objectives of my proposals are as follows. Personal income tax reforms with special focus on middle class. Rationalization of TDS and TCS for easing difficulties. Encouraging voluntary compliance. Reducing compliance burden. Ease of doing business. Employment and investment. I will come to my proposal on personal income tax towards the end. TDS and TCS, rationalization for easing difficulties. I propose to rationalize tax deduction at source, TDS, by reducing the number of rates and thresholds above which TDS is deducted. Further, threshold amounts for tax deduction will be increased for better clarity and uniformity. The limit for tax deduction on interest for senior citizens is being doubled from the present 50,000 rupees to 1 lakh rupees. Similarly, the annual limit of 2.40 lakh rupees for TDS on rent is being increased to 6 lakh rupees. This will reduce the number of transactions liable to TDS, thus benefiting small taxpayers receiving small payments. The threshold to collect tax at source, the TCS, on remittances under RBI's liberalized remittance scheme, the LRS, is proposed to be increased from 7 lakh to 10 lakhs. I also propose to remove TCS on remittances for education purposes, where such remittances is out of a loan taken from a specified financial institution. Both TDS and TCS are being applied on any transaction related to sale of goods. To prevent such compliance difficulties, I propose to omit the TCS. I also propose that the provisions of the higher TDS deduction will now apply only in non-PAN cases. In July 2024, the delay for payment of TDS up to the due date of filing statement was decriminalized. I propose to provide the same relaxation to TCS provisions as well. The government under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi believes in Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas and Sabka Prayas. In line with this, we brought in updated return facility in 2022 for voluntary compliance by taxpayers who had omitted to report income, our trust in taxpayers was proved right. Nearly 90 lakh taxpayers voluntarily updated their incomes by paying additional tax. Taking this trust further, I now propose to extend the time limit to file updated returns for any assessment year from the current limit of 2 years to 4 years. I propose to reduce the compliance burden for small charitable trusts and institutions by increasing their period of registration from 5 years to 10 years. It is also proposed that disproportionate consequences do not arise for minor defaults, such as incomplete applications filed by charitable entities. Presently, taxpayers can claim the annual value of self-occupied properties as nil only on the fulfillment of certain conditions. Considering the difficulties faced by taxpayers, it is proposed to allow the benefit of 2 such self-occupied properties without any condition. To streamline the process of transfer pricing and to provide an alternative to yearly examination, I propose to introduce a scheme for determining arm's length price of international transaction for a block period of 3 years. This will be in line with global best practices. With a view to reduce litigation and provide certainty in international taxation, the scope of safe harbor rules is being expanded. A number of senior and very senior citizens have very old national savings schemes accounts. As interest is no longer payable on such accounts, I propose to exempt withdrawals made from NSS by individuals on or after 29th August 2024. I am also proposing to allow similar treatment to NPS Vatsalya accounts as is available to normal NPS accounts subject to overall limits. In my speech in July 2024, I had promised that all processes, including giving effect to appellate orders, shall be digitalized and made paperless over the next 2 years. So I'm happy to announce that digitalization is being made operational now. In July 2024, we brought in the Vivad Se Vishwas scheme to resolve income tax disputes pending in appeal. The scheme has received a great response, with nearly 33,000 taxpayers having availed of the scheme to settle their disputes. I have a few proposals to promote investment and employment. It is proposed to provide a presumptive taxation regime for non-residents who provide services to a resident company that is establishing or operating an electronics manufacturing facility. I further propose to introduce a safe harbor for tax certainty for non-residents who store components for supply to specified electronics manufacturing units. Presently, the tonnage tax scheme is available only to sea-going ships. The benefits of existing tonnage tax scheme are proposed to be extended to inland vessels registered under the Indian Vessels Act of 2021 to promote inland water transport in the country. Extension for incorporation of startups. We continue to support the Indian startup ecosystem. I propose to extend the period of incorporation by 5 years to allow the benefit available to startups which are incorporated before 1/4/2030. In order to attract and promote additional activities in the IFSC, I am inter alia proposing specific benefits to ship leasing units, insurance offices, and treasury centers of global companies which are set up in IFSC. Further, to claim benefits, the cutoff date for commencement in IFSC has also been extended by 5 years to 31/3/2030. Category 1 and Category 2 AIFs are undertaking investments in infrastructure and other such sectors. I propose to provide certainty of taxation to these entities on the gains from securities, to promote funding from sovereign wealth funds and pension funds to the infrastructure sector. I propose to extend the date of making an investment by 5 more years up to 31st March 2030. Personal income tax reforms with special focus on middle class. Democracy, demography, and demand are the key support pillars in our journey towards Vikasit Bharat. The middle class provides strength for India's growth. This government, under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, has always believed in the admirable energy and ability of the middle class in nation building. In recognition of their contribution, we have periodically reduced their tax burden. Right after 2014, the nil tax slab was raised to 2.5 lakhs of rupees, which was further raised to 5 lakh rupees in 2019 and to 7 lakh rupees in 2023. This is reflective of our government's trust on the middle class taxpayers. I am now happy to announce that there will be no income tax payable up to income of 12 lakh rupees. So, average income of 1 lakh per month other than the special rate income such as capital gains under the new regime. This limit will be 12.75 lakh for salaried taxpayers due to the standard deduction of 75,000. Slabs and rates are being changed across the board to benefit all taxpayers. The new structure will substantially reduce the taxes of the middle class and leave more money in their hands, boosting household consumption, savings, and investment. In the new tax regime, I propose to revise tax rate structures as follows: 0 to 4 lakh rupees nil, 4.8 lakh rupees to 4 to 8 lakh rupees 5%, 8 to 12 lakh rupees 10%, 12 to 16 lakh rupees 15%, 16 to 20 lakh rupees 20%, 20 to 24 lakh rupees 25%, and above 24 lakh rupees 30%. To taxpayers up to 12 lakh of normal income other than special rate income such as capital gains. I read that again. To taxpayers up to 12 lakh of income other than special rate income such as capital gains, tax rebate is being provided in addition to the benefit due to slab rate reduction in such a manner that there is no tax payable by them. The total tax benefit of slab rate changes and rebate at different income levels can be illustrated with a few examples. A taxpayer in the new regime with an income of 12 lakh rupees will get a benefit of 80,000 rupees in tax, which is 100% of tax payable as per the existing rates. A person having income of 18 lakh rupees will get a benefit of 70,000 rupees in tax, that is 30% of tax payable as per existing rates. A person with an income of 25 lakh gets a benefit of 1,10,000 rupees, that is 25% of his tax payable as per existing rates. Details of my tax proposals are given in the annexure. As a result of these proposals, Honorable Speaker, sir, revenue of about 1 lakh crore in direct taxes and 2,600 crores in indirect taxes will be foregone. Mr. Speaker, sir, with this, I commend the budget to this august House.
Item number 2, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman.
Sir, with your permission, I rise to lay on the table the following statements under Section 3(1) of the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act, 2003. Medium-term fiscal policy cum fiscal policy strategy statement and macroeconomic framework statement.
Item number 3, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman.
Sir, with your permission, I rise to move for leave to introduce the Finance Bill 2025.
प्रश्न ये है कि विधेयक को पुनर्स्थापित करने की अनुमति प्रदान की जाए। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में हाँ गए, जो सदस्य विरोध में ना गए, मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में अनुमति प्रदान की जाती है। माननीय मंत्री जी, विधेयक को पुनर्स्थापित करें।
Sir, I introduce the bill.
थैंक यू। सभा की कार्रवाई सोमवार दिनांक 3 फरवरी 2025 को प्राप्त 11 बजे तक के लिए स्थगित की जाती है।
System. 2. Targeted development and propagation of seeds with high yield, pest resistance, and climate resilience. And 3. Commercial availability of more than 100 seed varieties released since July 2024. India ranks second largest globally in fish production and aquaculture.